Welcome to the 4th annual State of Washington County Address. Happy New Year, citizens of Washington County. A new decade started in January 2020, and in less than 90 days, the nation was hit with the coronavirus. We have now surpassed 345 days with COVID-19, and we're still navigating through it. The elected officials and judges came together to coordinate efforts to lead the county with the health department, emergency management, and others. I'm proud of them, and I very much appreciate them for their standing in the gap as they led their teams and found innovative ways to serve you and their employees while upholding their constitutional responsibilities. Washington County lost citizens due to COVID-19, and I will ask right now that we take a moment of silence to remember them and their families. Thank you. Our medical communities, businesses, churches, and leaders like you and your families have all been stretched and challenged by the coronavirus. We are still working across the county to best serve you, and we're committed to fight the virus through 2021. The countywide elected officials will share with you the state of the county, the state of your county, sharing a few highlights from 2020 and a few goals that they have for 2021. Thank you for watching.
It's an honor to present the 2021 State of the County Report for the Assessor's Office. While this has been a year like no other, we adapted and adjusted to life in the midst of the global pandemic brought on by the coronavirus. I've been impressed and moved by the manner in which our office and the county has pulled together and supported each other. During this time, we never stopped working or providing services to the residents of Washington County. Despite the unanticipated challenges, it has been an outstanding year of exceptional accomplishments by our award-winning staff. While conducting a countywide reappraisal is difficult enough on the best of circumstances, we went the extra mile, maximizing our technology to help manage this monumental task. In September, we were very pleased to learn that the National Center for Digital Government recognized us for our outstanding efforts, placing second in the nation for the 2020 Digital County Survey. Big congratulations to my team and our IT department for helping us achieve this national award. I've prepared a few slides illustrating the effects of the 2020 reappraisal and growth that it's taking place in Washington County. The first slide is the breakdown of market values by city from highest to lowest. No surprise, Fayetteville leads the way, followed by Springdale. I was a little surprised to see Taneytown above Farmington, though. In the next slide, we will see the market value of Washington County as a whole. This slide best illustrates the effect of the reappraisal. Our previous reappraisal in 2015 locks in the property values for the next 5 years. So what you see in 16, 17, 18, and 19 are increases based primarily on new construction for each year. Then in 2020, we adjust all the property values to reflect the current market conditions. That's why you see over a 23% increase from 2019 to 2020, creating the highest historic value ever in Washington County. Our commercial market is thriving with a 30% increase over last year, adding over $6 billion in value to Washington County. As you can see, apartments and offices are leading the way at $1.7 billion each. 2020 was also a record-setting year for the new construction with a 24% increase over the previous year. One thing we learned about the residential real estate market in Washington County, it does not have COVID. With low inventory and low interest rates, the residential market is very healthy and increased 31% from 2019 to 2020, increasing by $3.4 billion in 1 year. The stat for 2020 in this slide was not completed by the time this slide was created. It will exceed 112,000 assessments when we close out 2020. Even with thousands of assessments not yet accounted for, we've already surpassed 2019 by 7%. I'm so proud of this team for the professionalism and dedication they show to the citizens of Washington County. Over half of our office holds a level 4 or higher assessor designation in the state of Arkansas. We've been recognized 12 times across the state and nation for our advancements in technology and customer service. While completing my 6th year as your assessor, I'm proud to have given back nearly $500,000 of unused budgetary funds, keeping Washington County on track and under budget. Despite all of the challenges we are facing, Washington County continues to grow in population and value, making it a great place to live, work, play, and invest. Valuing Washington County and you, I'm your assessor, Russell Hill.
Happy New Year! My name is Kyle Sylvester and I am your Washington County Circuit Clerk. For those of you not familiar with our office, we take care of all the filings on the circuit court level, and we're also responsible for all of the land record recordings here in Washington County. Taking a look back at 2020, like many of you, we're pretty glad that it's in the rearview mirror. 2020 brought many challenges for our office and also brought to light several things that we found that we could implement to benefit everyone here in Washington County. As far as challenges, the largest was the financial uncertainty that we were facing. This was by far the most difficult challenge that I faced. Not knowing what the pandemic would affect as far as revenue for the county, I had to make some very difficult decisions that I thought I would never have to. Along with the other elected officials, we had to make severe cuts to our budgets and curb spending on a massive scale. This resulted in staff reductions, major budget adjustments, and streamlining processes so that we could stay on top of our work volume with limited personnel. We made the choice to close our office to public traffic so that we could limit exposure to the staff members. With such smaller numbers, we couldn't afford to have any of our team members become sick. This proved to be another challenge, even though we took as many precautions as possible. But one of the benefits of having to react to all the changes was that it forced us to reevaluate some processes that we had in place. For instance, taking payments for court fines and fees. We implemented the ability to pay your fines online, and you could also use a credit or a debit card. This was something we were planning to do, but the situation forced us to make it happen quickly. We also were able to test working remotely when all other options were exhausted. We discovered many positives and some negatives in our previous plan, and we were able to make some needed adjustments. But regardless of the challenges, we've made it through, and we're proud to know that myself and the other elected officials can come together in a time of serious crisis and work together to keep Washington County operating at an acceptable service level. So on to 2021. Currently, we're finishing up some renovation in the office to ensure safety for our staff and our constituents. Going by some of the CDC and Arkansas Department of Health guidelines and suggestions, I believe we have a safe environment and will still provide a level of personal service that our citizens have grown accustomed to. As long as there are no construction issues, we're planning on opening back up to the public possibly by the end of February. We will keep everyone posted of an exact date on the Washington County website. So thank you all for your patience throughout 2020. I know that a lot of procedures for our customers have been altered, but I had to keep the health of our staff in mind. We'll be back to pretty much normal operations very soon. So here's to a wonderful 2021. And it is my prayer that you and yours are blessed all throughout the year. Thank you and God bless.
I'm Angela Wood, the Washington County Collector. 2020 was a hard and trying year for the Collector's Office, but it ended on a good note. We collected $183 million in current taxes and over $13 million in delinquent taxes. Our revenue during the pandemic remained comparable to the previous year. Also, during the 2020 year, the Collector's Office was able to implement a new payment system that benefited the taxpayers, that when they go to renew their tags online, if their taxes are not paid, they did not have to wait 3 to 5 days for their payments to go through. The payment is automatically made to the state, making it easier to get their tags. During the time of closure, we were able to keep our offices open at the courthouse with our over-the-phone customer service. We were able to open our branch offices in Springdale and Fayetteville in June. The Lincoln office was opened by October the 1st for convenience, but only after added protection was put in place for the taxpayers and employees. We ended the year by ramping up our enforcement on delinquent business collections. We were able to collect over $55,000 in the last 2 weeks. We implemented a new procedure whereby if the business goes delinquent in its payments, the business is given 10 days to pay, or a distraint of goods will be issued to the business owner. It's not fair for law-abiding taxpayers that pay their taxes on time, and certain businesses do not feel obligated to pay theirs. I'm looking forward to moving the collector's office in a positive direction for 2021.
As we all know, this has been a trying year for the county, especially on our office. Fortunately, I was able to see this coming, this virus, and we put in our budget for a vehicle. Well, when I saw it coming into New York, we decided not to get the vehicle, and we used that money to get another cooler for our office, which saved us from having to go to the general fund. So we were very pleased about that, and was able to use the rest of the money for body bags and things that we need. Can't say enough about my staff. They worked long hours, they haven't complained, and they're still working long hours. In 2019, we did a little over 2,100 deaths. In 2020, we did over 2,600, which y'all know 306 of those were COVID that we worked. This year, in January, we're already at 50 COVID deaths and over 140 deaths that we've worked total. Things that we're looking forward to for the new year would be hopefully the vaccines and masking up will help bring the virus down so we can get that death rate down. But our normal death rate's going up. I feel like we're starting to get into our baby boomers, because we really need to get this under control, because there's a lot we need to be doing. It's hard to ask the coroner to do a state of the county, because there's really nothing really good a coroner can say, because you're talking about death. All I can ask is that you all be safe, and I know the quorum court's going to have a hard year in front of them with the pandemic and everything going on. We're just going to continue working hard and get through this, and God bless and be safe.
2020 was definitely a challenging year for our office. With elections, candidate filings, marriages, and some of our other tasks, we just couldn't close our office to the public. So we have remained open through the pandemic. Luckily, the primary election was at the beginning of March, so COVID-19 didn't affect that election here. However, it most certainly impacted our general election. We had to adjust many procedures to accommodate for voting in a pandemic. With the governor's announcement that anyone could vote absentee in July, we were inundated with thousands of absentee ballot applications. We transmitted more than 13,000 absentee ballots for the general election. This is by far a great deal more than we've ever sent before. With concerns about mail service, we decided to offer an in-person absentee curbside drop-off for the general election. We were here every Saturday in October from 10 to 4 to accept absentee ballots from voters. We had really good feedback offering this service. The voters that took advantage seemed really appreciative to have the option. Our election here ran very smoothly with no great complications. We have several projects in 2021. We will be working on our NVRA mailing in the spring. This is a postage-paid mailing we are required to send out every odd year. It allows for list maintenance to our voter registration system, removing duplicates and the names of ineligible voters. We will also be working on redistricting this year. After the census in 2020, new lines will be drawn in several districts, and we will be working on getting everything updated in our voter registration system for elections in 2022. All in all, we are looking forward to 2021. We are praying for a healthy, safe year for all the citizens of Washington County.
Hello, I'm Matt Durrett, Prosecuting Attorney for the 4th Judicial District. Like everyone else, for us, 2020 was a very trying time. We were faced with challenges that we had never seen before, nor that we had ever imagined that we would see. We were introduced to things such as masks and social distancing, and the way we do things was drastically changed by COVID. In response to the pandemic, back around mid-March when this first hit, when restaurants and businesses were closing to the public, we made the decision that in order to limit our employees' exposure to COVID, that we were going to close our office to the public. Sadly, we are still in that same situation as our numbers have increased and as we have seen a couple of spikes in the numbers. However, while we are closed to the public, we are still open for business. We still are providing services such as mental commitments, victim assistance, and a broad range of other services that we have provided in years past. If you need assistance from the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, you can reach us either by phone at 479-444-1570 or by email at wcpa@washingtoncountyar.gov. We have all our employees still working full-time. They're just working full-time remotely from home. So if you need assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us. One thing we saw in 2020 as a result of COVID was a decrease in our filings. We filed approximately 20% fewer cases last year than we did in 2019. That, I believe, is due primarily to COVID. There was a decrease in the number of arrests, not because the police were less active, but because there were fewer instances of crime. The overall numbers for police agencies were down, and that corresponded to a decrease in our filings. Unfortunately, our disposition rate was lower as well. That was brought about mainly because the difficulty that we're having in getting cases resolved because of a lack of in-person court. We are all striving to remedy that, and we are hopeful that 2021 will bring us back to some sense of normalcy. That's the overall goal of our office, like I believe it is for everyone else. The new goal is a return to normalcy. We hope that 2021 will bring us back to where we were before this pandemic hit. I'm hopeful that in a matter of months we will be back to where we were before, which is in-person court, a full office, a full courthouse, where all offices are open to the public. Hopefully with the introduction and widespread use of the vaccine, that it will be safer, that this courthouse and all other businesses will be safer environments for people to get out and get back to their normal lives, as normal as we can possibly get in a situation like we're facing. 2021 will hopefully, the plans that we have include continuing our transition in our office to away from paper and more to electronic storage. We are striving to make this transition with the purchase of a new server to handle the increase in evidence that's coming from police departments. As time goes on, we have more technological advances, and you see it more with police departments, with recordings of as much as is possible with body cams and dash cams. One downside to that is that it requires more storage. So we've made the decision to purchase an additional server to hopefully handle all that. With the purchase of a new server, we're hoping that will allow us to have more storage for this additional evidence, and also to make it easier to share this information, this evidence with defense attorneys, to hopefully speed this process up. Our focus is going to be speeding up this process, because when this eventually ends, there is going to be a backlog of cases. We're already seeing that, and we're going to be having to work overtime to get the backlog of cases through the system, but that is a commitment that we have. One of our other focuses is speeding up the process while maintaining the integrity of the system and while keeping a focus on public safety. With that being said, 2021 will also bring us more discussions in terms of public safety and fiscal responsibility. As many of you know, the county judge created the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee last year. That is focused on decreasing overcrowding at the jail and finding that balance between fiscal responsibility and public safety. My goal is to work hard and continue with an open mind to listening to any and all ideas about what to do about the situation at the jail. And hopefully with cooperation from all parties, we can find solutions that guarantee public safety but limit the fiscal exposure of the taxpayers.
Hi everyone, I'm Tim Helder, Sheriff of Washington County, and I'm here to give you a recap of 2020 and maybe a couple things to look forward to from the Sheriff's Office perspective in 2021. I feel, however, I would be remiss if I didn't jump back into 2019, at least the end of 2019, to remind everyone of the tragic loss that everyone suffered, especially in our law enforcement community in December 7th, 2019, Officer Stephen Carr was murdered behind the Fayetteville Police Department, which sent us into the new year of 2020 reeling as a community and as a law enforcement group. Well, it wasn't long after that we experienced the death of George Floyd and began dealing with the aftermath of that with civil unrest. When you have a national event, they don't normally find their way to Northwest Arkansas. But in this instance, they did. In Fayetteville in particular, we had a group of about 5,000 on the square that we helped Fayetteville PD and area agencies to work. But I'm happy to report, by and large, it was peaceful due in large part to the relationship between law enforcement and our community. I think one of the things that really has come out of this is a continued conversation, comfortable or uncomfortable, about these issues that we're dealing with as a law enforcement community and just as a person. As we dealt with all of the unrest, the governor put together his task force to advance the state of law enforcement in Arkansas. I was selected and honored to serve on that, and I'm just happy to report that we came out with some significant changes, improvements to the way we do business. One being, how do we more readily and immediately identify bad apples within our profession, and how do we prevent them from continuing in our profession? I think now we really need to talk about the jail overcrowding. This is something that's been going on for years. So let's go back to the beginning of 2020, where our numbers were reaching all-time highs at one point, and several days. In fact, we were over 800 detainees with a lot of people sleeping on the floor. We were in crisis mode. We had determined we were not going to add an expansion, and as a result, I put together a work group of community members to address overcrowding specifically, but working within our criminal justice system. But then the court, behind the scenes, had determined that they wanted to have a study done to have a national group come in and look at our situation, not just the jail overcrowding, but criminal justice overall. That happened, and as a result, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee was formed. Well, now let's move into March of 2020, and that is really when COVID hit Northwest Arkansas. We immediately met as a staff and determined that we were at this place where we had to really look at public safety and public health, and how are we going to be able to address the population within our detention center, and how are we going to be able to protect our employees that were going to have to work in the detention center every day. And we were able to, I think, responsibly reduce our population, identifying those that were most vulnerable within the jail that could succumb to the virus. So we went from all-time highs to maybe not all-time lows, but very close. We were under 400 for the first time since we opened the doors back in 2005. Certainly, COVID has been a challenge, not just for us, but for the entire world, if you will, but our community for sure. And I would be remiss if I just didn't brag on our medical staff and our phenomenal deputies that are dealing daily, face-to-face with this virus, this invisible virus, not knowing whether they're going to contract it or not. We've had 61 employees that have contracted the virus, and one hospitalization, quite a few positives within the jail in the mid-200s, but I'm happy to report that only one was hospitalized, and that was for a day, I think. Well, as we move into 2021, even though we got our numbers all the way down, under 400. We have steadily been creeping back up. Our numbers today are at 564. They continue to climb, so it won't be long until we're in crisis mode again, especially right now with quarantine blocks, and we just don't have the space that we might have. So once again, we have people sleeping on the floor, which is not a good thing. The Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee will meet in earnest for the first time really this month, and we're going to roll up our sleeves and get busy and see how we can address this problem long term. So I would say in 2021, that's going to be probably our big goal. I'd really like to thank our community for supporting us through this. As always, I'm honored to lead in such a great organization and honored to serve as your sheriff. Thank you.
Hello, Washington County. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Bobby Hill, your Washington County Treasurer. I'd like to wish all citizens and all my fellow elected officials a Happy New Year. It goes without saying that 2020 was a challenging year for all of us, and I'm glad to welcome 2021. I have two great hopes for the coming year. The vaccine rollout will be successful and weaken the virus, and our country will once again be united because we are all better together. While still not final, our latest audit in the Treasurer's Office appears to again show no issues. Obviously, accuracy is of the utmost importance. And having said that, I'd like to take this time to thank my great staff for making my job a lot easier. One of the Treasurer's most important jobs is keeping an eye on county revenue. As the virus began to take hold and a partial lockdown was implemented, my first thought was the county's revenue stream is in real trouble. Over time, however, this initial reaction proved false. By the end of 2020, sales tax affecting our general, road, and jail funds were up almost 8%. Grocery stores, building supply stores, and internet sales were the main drivers of this increase. Property taxes also came in slightly higher. We did see a few revenue declines along the way, mainly in prisoner care reimbursement and road turnback money from the state. Investment returns also saw a decline as interest rates began to tumble. But for the most part, Washington County weathered the storm. Also, with the blessing of the Quorum Court, the Treasurer's Office created a general reserve fund, and we were able to deposit $4.5 million into this fund at the end of 2020. We also received over $4.5 million in coronavirus relief funds from the federal government. This money is unrestricted and can be used for any legal county purpose after it is appropriated by the Quorum Court. Looking ahead, I consider Washington County's financial situation as stable and improving. Of course, the pandemic is still raging, so we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds. We're still not sure of the 2020 census numbers. Our countywide sales tax is based on population, so it's likely the county will lose revenue while our cities will see an increase. However, the countywide reappraisal increase should make up for this loss in revenue. Once again, Happy New Year to everyone, and thanks for making Washington County one of the greatest places to live in the country. Never hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you, and God bless.
2020 for Washington County again was met with many trials, changes, and yet a lot of success through it all. As you have heard from the elected officials, our employee workforce is critical to the ongoing success of Washington County, and again, they work directly with you, the citizens of Washington County, delivering exceptional service throughout the whole COVID-19. Thanks to each of you and every employee for stepping up to take care of each other while meeting the needs of the county. Here are a few of our successes from 2020. Fiscal responsibility. Our goal again was to end the year 2020 with a flat budget. However, we were able to cut another 1% from last year. For historical references, we have reduced our budget by 3.7% in 2018, 3% in 2019, and again here another 1% for 2020. Thank you, senior leaders, for being good stewards and demonstrating business practices while being citizen-centric while serving the county. Roads and bridges. With approximately 1,500 miles of roads in the county, our road and bridge crews, mechanics, and office teams were busy, even with heavy rains in the pandemic, which compounds the workload, and we were able to complete over 4.6 miles of gravel to pavement with the Wallen Mountain Dirt Project. Again, big pavement project that we were able to complete. We completed Jess Anderson through the unpaved road grant that we received. We completed and renovated the Washington County Quarry. This redesigned layout improved efficiency in our utilization of our crusher, which was about over 840 tons being produced out of that quarry. Department of Emergency Management and our 911 team were instrumental in coordinating our COVID response last year with assessing, acquiring, and distributing personal protective equipment for emergency response agencies throughout the county and neighboring areas. We were called to lead the charge from the Arkansas Department of Health to distribute the vaccine for the COVID-19 in partnership with our healthcare providers, emergency medical services, as well as pharmacists in the area. Working together to get our radio system upgraded from our former UHF to P2 digital system with Arkansas Wireless Information System, and we've inputted over 782 new addresses with our 911 operations. Our Veteran Services, in 2020, our Veteran Services Office served over 2,000 veterans, again over a 10% increase in 2019. The planning team reviewed county planning codes with partnership with our Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning Group. In conjunction, the expertise of our planning board, we've approved over 34 conditional use permits in 2020, which is 14 more permits than 2019. The grants team was awarded over 29 of 33 grants, which is, again, a record. They applied for 33 grants, received 29 for a total of $5.6 million. Another $4.5 million was applied for and received for the Coronavirus Relief Fund, CARES Act, for a total of $10.2 million brought into the county by the Grants Department. Salute to our grants team for the work that they've done, a big win and high record for the county. Our animal shelter performed over 240 public spay and neuter surgeries and assisted over 900 citizens in the county with animal-related issues. They also secured $57,000 in grants, which was used to help offset some of their sheltering costs. Our Building and Grounds team developed and implemented a complete countywide daily COVID-19 disinfection program to protect our employees and citizens entering in and out of our buildings. Activated Arkansas's largest publicly owned solar installation on our South Campus, a solar field and a rooftop project. Building and Grounds managers became the first certified facility manager professionals in the state of Arkansas. Our county library systems developed a planning committee to develop their 5- and 10-year plans, long-term plans, and have already had a couple of meetings in that light. They continue to serve during the COVID-19 with curbside services and drop-off boxes, also increasing and promoting their online e-books services. Our Juvenile Detention Center regraded their care worker positions to detention officers to better compete for talent, and they developed more online training to help keep their staff with the mandatory training that is necessary in their roles. Our information technology won second place in the National Association of County Digital Counties this year, up from number 9 in 2019. Congratulations, IT team. They also work with most of the county leaders and employees to facilitate remote workers and help in upgrading meeting platforms to better serve the county through technology during COVID-19. Comptroller's Office implemented a new financial software package to help bring future efficiencies in processing checks, invoices, and help in budgeting. Again, our HR team coordinated and worked with those around the county for being proactive in providing strategic and tactical HR guidance through COVID-19 and developing their leaders. To all my senior leaders and their teams, thank you. Our executive team, I couldn't have done 2020 without you, and you made it possible. Again, thank you. A few goals for 2021 is to improve leadership and services focusing on infrastructure and public safety and employee training. In 2021, we'll see the construction of a 67-foot prefab bridge to eliminate low water crossing bridge with the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management and Public Safety. We will have a natural walk project that will get started, and it's in conjunction working with Beaver Lake. When it reaches flood level, we'll be able to raise that over a foot above the flood level. Adams and Weir Road, we'll see some improvement projects being there to widen that existing road, improve drainage there, and again, develop a stronger structure for the increased traffic flow out there. Our Department of Emergency Management in 21 will again continue to drive the distribution of the vaccine through the various phases, working with the Arkansas Department of Health and the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management to develop again ongoing PPE strategies for our emergency responders as well as other staff. Our grants department will be looking for about $6 million in grants this year, again, topping, 2020's high. Building and grounds will be managing and working through roof replacements, working with our insurance companies, as well as looking at sealing our courthouse with waterproofing and our windows and doors across that building. Planning will again look to adopt planning codes and look at our floodplain maps to have those adopted as well in 2021. And our animal shelter will again continue the efforts to increase transportation, provide public safety while working with our animal control officers. IT will again be looking to implement an IT disaster recovery site for our Washington County area. Again, looking at more broadband throughout the county and explore artificial intelligence to better assist the citizens with questions that they would have. HR will again be looking at providing more portability and mobile HR resources to our remote workers and our leaders. Meeting with our mayors has been a joy, but it's been different in 2020, and we're looking forward to joining together across the county, sharing best practices with our mayors. Our luncheons with our elected officials in partnership with our various judges in Benton County, Madison County, Carroll, and Sebastian will continue to work and foster better relations for the whole Northwest region. We live in the third largest county in the state of Arkansas, and we are one of the fastest growing regions in the United States. My vision for Washington County is to lead Arkansas. By having exemplary leaders making good decisions for better services in Washington County, the state of Washington County is truly bright, and brighter because of what you do every day. Citizens in Washington County, it is our privilege and our pleasure to serve you. Let's have a great year, Washington County. Let's do it together. Thank you, Washington County, and God bless you.